Hello friends, welcome to this series on reading NCERT textbooks. All of you know and you are all familiar with the books prepared and published by NCERT. They have been prescribed for your own study. But there are many students who don't like to consult these books because they don't know how to read and extract information and how to store information extracted from these books and use them. It is because they don't know how to read them properly. So in this series, I'll help you in reading NCERT textbooks. These books have been prepared and published for your benefit. So that's why you should learn how to read them and how to use them. So in this series, I'm going to help you. Let us consider your textbooks. These textbooks prepared by NCERT are very popular, very famous all over the country. Many people consult these books because they are so well prepared and so useful. Textbooks are like your teachers, the teachers who are present with you day in, day out. These books are like your teachers who are present with you. They are present on the reading table, they are with you in your school bags. If you see the books and examine them, you'll find that these books have been prepared by groups of teachers who are very experienced, and they have been published, specially designed, revised and planned for you, and that's why they are so valuable and important for you. But you have to learn how to read them, how to use them, and then only the textbooks who are like your teachers will help you. You have your own teachers who teach you in the classes. You listen to them, you understand their language, and these textbooks are also like your teachers, but in order to understand them, you have to learn to read. You will learn to read these books and use them, and they are highly useful. These textbooks will make you independent learners because they are like your personal guide and teachers. They are like your personal friend, and they are going to help you always. These textbooks as teachers don't get irritated even if you ask them again and again. You can consult them as many times as you like at your own convenience, and this is not possible with the teachers who teach you in the schools. But the only condition is that you have to understand the language of these teachers who are in the form of textbooks, and what you learn here is to learn to read. If you learn to read the textbooks properly, then the textbooks are highly valuable. Now let us consider about reading and writing. These are like the two sides of the same coin. All of you are familiar with both of them because you have been taught right from class 1 how to read and write. These are the first skills you are taught right from the beginning. So writing is a way of representing our spoken language. Then the language we speak is represented in the visual form. All of you know that when you speak words and sentences using our voice is not visible. The moment we stop speaking, the words are no longer there. We can't see them, or we cannot hear them also. So human beings invented writing to record the spoken language, represent them in the visual form. It was a revolution when it was done because it was made possible to represent the spoken language, record, and then communicate from one place to another. Even if the speaker of the language is no longer present, the words are visible because they are represented in the physical visible form using material signs. So material signs are like words and symbols on the pages of the textbook. And reading is the skill of understanding the written language. So it is like extracting meaning out of the written text. That's why reading comprehension or understanding written text requires two skills: the skill of word recognition or identifying the words on the written page, and understanding the language which is written down. That means for understanding the written text, you require two things. You should be able to identify the words on the page, and you should understand the spoken language. That means if your books are written in English, you should be able to identify the words of English, and at the same time you should know English, the spoken form. Unless you have both of them with you, you are not able to understand the written text. Because written text is a form of spoken language written down. That's why you should know the language at the spoken variety, and of course you should learn how to identify the words. But the meaning is not totally present there on the written text. As a reader, while reading, you construct the meaning yourself using a number of skills. That means the meaning extracted from a written text is different from person to person. Because while constructing meaning, the reader uses the personal experience and the information on the text both. And together, the personal experience and the information on the text create the meaning in the minds of the reader. So the meaning is constructed, it is not present there in the written text. So as a reader, you have to learn how to construct the meaning using the skills and your personal experience. And in this series, we are going to discuss about this. A reading is a skill that is learned step by step. Language has two forms, the spoken form and the written form. And learning the spoken form doesn't require conscious teaching by a teacher. You learn unconsciously, simply by exposure to the language. That means if you listen to a particular language, you learn yourself. The brain does it unconsciously. But reading is not like that. It is not natural like speaking. You read and you have to learn it. So reading is unnatural. It is to be learned. And that is step by step, systematically from your teachers. It requires practice for perfection. In order to learn reading properly, you require long practice. It requires years together, because you have to use so many skills together smoothly, and you require long practice. The more you do, the better. But reading is interesting. It is thrilling, because you are able to understand the ideas and the feelings of the author, even if the author is not present there. So if you learn the skill of reading, you can communicate with and understand the ideas of a large number of people. And that's why it is so beneficial. Reading will improve your knowledge, it will improve your skills, and there are so many benefits. Reading as a habit is very beneficial. If you have a book with you and if you know how to read, then you are no longer lonely. The reading will distress you. That means it will give you pleasure. It will entertain you. At the same time, of course, as students, these are like teachers who are always ready to help you in learning, in expanding your knowledge. That's why learn the habit of reading and learn how to do. Let us discuss what you need for reading. First of all, you should know the spoken variety of the language in which your textbooks are written. If your textbooks are written in English, then you should be able to understand English, the spoken variety, because the texts are the written form of the spoken language. That's why first of all you should have the knowledge of the spoken English. Then you should have good word recognition skill. That means you should be able to identify and recognize the English words which are on the page. Then you should have good vocabulary. Vocabulary means the knowledge of the words of the language. If your books are written in English, then you should have knowledge of large number of words. The more the better. And you should know the grammar of the language. That means you should know the structure of English language, the rules, how the words combine to form sentences. That means you should have knowledge of the vocabulary and grammar, both. Then you require good memory. That means you should remember the meanings of the words, the rules of the language, and you should remember the personal experience in the world outside, because your personal experience will come to be used while understanding a particular text. And at the same time you should be able to recall and remember what is there in the memory. Finally, you require motivation. That means you should have desire to read. You may have all the skills and the knowledge. You may have good vocabulary and the good knowledge of the grammar. But if you don't have the desire to read, if you are not motivated, then you are not going to succeed in reading. And there is another thing that is very precious and valuable, that is your attention. Attention is very precious. It is limited, and you should have focused attention while reading. Unless you are able to focus your attention on reading, you are not going to succeed. So these are the things that you require for success in reading comprehension. But simply knowing these things is not enough. You should be an active reader. So what is active reading? It is a process of consciously thinking about the ideas and information in the text. That means it is a deliberate process. While reading, you should be able to think about the ideas and information. It is not passive. Don't think that reading is simply collecting information and everything is given in the text. It's not like that. Meaning is to be constructed, and that's why you should apply your mind and you have to think while processing the ideas and the information in the text. And the information and the reader's understanding are to be stored as notes for future use. Simply reading is not enough. As students, you have to store the information for your future use, and for that active reading is required. It is like a reader having a dialogue with the author. If you think that the teachers have written the textbooks, then you are having a dialogue. That means you are having a conversation with those teachers about the ideas in the text, and you are noting them. So this is active reading. Now let us discuss about an active reader. You should learn how to be an active reader. For that you have to do the following things. You should have a purpose when you start reading a particular chapter. Don't dive into the chapter straight away. Before reading, before beginning the chapter, you should have a purpose. You have to decide why you are going to read. What is your purpose? And you should have a plan for tackling the chapter. That means right from the beginning, you should have an aim, you should have a purpose, and you should have a plan framed very clearly. Then for proper understanding, background knowledge is required. Background knowledge means your knowledge about the topic that you are going to read. So recall and remember that topic, the ideas that you know. So you have to activate your knowledge, and this background knowledge is going to be useful. It is going to help you in comprehending, because understanding means relating the new knowledge to the knowledge that you have already in your mind. Then all the chapters in science and social science are organized in a particular way. There is a method, and you should know about that organization, structure, and the way it is done. Before and after reading, and even during reading, you should frame questions regarding the concepts and ideas discussed by the author in the chapter. You should be able to generate questions and ask yourself, and write down the questions and try to find the answers. The questions like, what is the purpose of the author? What is the main idea of this particular chapter? What is the main idea of this particular paragraph? What are the other related ideas? What is the example given? Like this, questions are to be framed by you, and you should try to find the answers. There are other two things, inference and prediction. Means you should be able to infer, means you should be able to make intelligent guesses. Very often, the authors don't explain everything clearly. The writers, the authors, assume that the readers know certain things. That's why they don't explain everything. So, as an intelligent, active reader, you should be able to infer what is assumed by the author. Then, at the same time, you should be able to predict, means think in advance what the writer is going to write later, what is coming later in the chapter. So, that prediction ability is required, and an active reader does that. After comprehension, after understanding a particular portion, a particular paragraph, you should be able to summarize, means you should be able to restate, write down in your own words what the ideas are there in the particular section or a particular paragraph. So summarizing using a limited number of words is very vital, and that will activate you, and that is going to help you in understanding. Then you should be able to relate the ideas and the concepts in the text to your life outside. You should be able to visualize, see yourself in your imagination, in your inner eye, and try to visualize yourself, and that will help you understand. If you are able to relate things in the chapter to your life outside, then you are able to understand. Again, I am repeating, we understand when we try to relate something new to what we know. If you relate things to your life, your own experience, your own memory, then you are able to understand. If you are not able to do that, then you are not able to understand and comprehend. In a particular chapter, the authors try to convey certain information, ideas, clarify certain concepts, and all of them are spread throughout the chapter. So you should be able to identify those ideas and concepts and establish a relationship among them. That is going to be useful. As an active reader, it is essentially required on your part to do that. Next, in each chapter you'll find figures, tables, visuals, charts. They are called text features, or sometimes they are called print features. They are meaningful. They have been deliberately included in the text to help you understand. They are related to the text, the ideas and the concepts which are discussed there. So these figures in the tables are to be understood by you, and you have to find the relationship of them with the ideas and the concepts in the text. So you have to examine the figures in the tables and visuals and relate to the concepts. And it is very important for you while reading to monitor your comprehension. Means you have to think yourself how your mind is working. You have to decide whether you are able to understand or not. whether you are able to understand all the parts or you are having some difficulties or problems. Which are the areas where you are not able to understand? You have to know how to tackle the difficulties when your comprehension fails. If you are not able to understand the meaning of a particular concept or a particular sentence, or if you are not able to understand a particular word, then you have to know how to tackle that. So that is required. Monitoring is required. This is called monitoring. So you have to think about your own understanding while reading and try to find out the solutions to the problems that you face. And for that, you have to use multiple strategies. Strategies are plans, the methods for tackling the problems that you face while reading. So there are multiple strategies for reading. In course of the series that you are going to have with me, we are going to discuss all these in detail one by one, and you'll become an active reader at the end. How do you read the chapters? That is the aim of the series we have. We'll discuss them step by step in other videos. You'll clarify all your difficulties and you'll really enjoy at the end, and you'll become a successful active reader. Thank you for watching.